Welcome to the Ambitious as Fuck podcast, where we have raw conversation about staying motivated and ambitious while facing real life challenges. Success doesn't just happen, you have to work hard, fall, and keep getting up regardless of the obstacles. If settling or giving up is not your style, stick around for this real ass conversation. My name is Priscilla, and I've always enjoyed helping and motivating others. While developing my own brand, I realized my passion for marketing and empowering others to keep pushing forward and manifesting their dreams. Thanks for tuning in.
All right, welcome back to another episode of the Ambitious AM podcast. I am recording from my new office. My 18-year-old moved out a few weeks ago, and I switched the baby's room and moved my office that was once in the kitchen into the smaller room, which is now a spare bedroom. So I'm excited about that. But I was ridiculously sad about my son leaving because he just turned 18. And I know he probably needed at least one more year to kind of get himself in the right state of mind. But hey, what are you going to do? Kids make their own choices. They got to move on. And anyway, that's the latest that's up with me. This episode is actually part 2 of the books that have changed my life. And this part 2 is about the business books that I've read. So I screenshotted them here. I'm going to share the titles with you. And these are really like any level of a business owner can read these books. There's just a little something for everyone here. But of course, a lot of it was leaning toward the copywriting of, how I became a copywriter and stuff and what brought me to this point. So I'm just going to hop in. Let's do it. One of the first books that I read, it was about marketing. I had no idea what kind of marketing to pay for, really what did marketing entail as a whole. So one of the first books that I read, and it was really, really good, called The New Rules of Marketing and PR by David Meerman Scott. This book really just breaks down marketing as a whole. So I really appreciate this one. And he talks a lot about, just so you know, it says how to use content marketing, podcasting, social media, AI, live video, newsjacking, and newsjacking to reach buyers directly. So really good read. Some of the stuff, it might be things that you already know, depending on your level of marketing knowledge, but it's definitely a really good starting point for anyone really trying to understand it. The next book that I loved, really, really loved, is called Methods of Persuasion by Nick Kalenda. This book, this one talks about how to use psychology to influence human behavior. So at some point, once I was understanding marketing, because obviously I wasn't just reading these books, I was devouring everything possible, videos, podcasts, everything. So this book was really cool because I was like, okay, I'm having a hard time getting my message right. So I got to maybe understand people's minds. So that's how I started getting more into like the psychology of marketing. So this was a really, really good book. Another book that I read, and this is actually a well-known copywriter, Joe Sugarman. The book is called Triggers. So 30 sales tools you can use to control the mind of your prospect to motivate, influence, and persuade. One of the things I want to say about these books, about the psychology of marketing and persuading people, is that every single book that I've read that has to do with that always gives you a disclaimer that you should not be using these books for the wrong purpose, which is to mislead people or to lie about your products or anything like that. Of course, there's always going to be people that do that. And I was just having this conversation with my husband the other day about how marketing, it really has a bad, like people think badly of it because of those things, like very misleading. For example, when you are watching something on TV and a commercial comes on about a political side or whatever, they will literally lie. They will say what they need to say to get your attention, but if you don't read that fine print and see who is the one backing these claims or whatever, then you're going to be completely misled. And that is so fucked up. So any of these books, I will never ever do anything that's unethical. And that's the difference. There's unethical marketing and then there's ethical marketing, right? Being truthful, honest, making claims that are true. So anyway, this book was really cool because they were short little snippets of, triggers, things that trigger the tools that trigger our mind. And so that trigger became a really important word for me when it came to copywriting, or has become a very important word. Then I read The Tangled Mind, Unraveling the Origin of Human Nature. This one is also by Nick Kalenda. This one was really interesting because like the very beginning of it, he was talking about how the way that our brain associates things, it all starts from the moment that we are born. So when we think of like a boss or someone in charge, we associate that with bigness. And part of it is because when we're babies, we see these huge people, right? And they pick us up and they do whatever they got to do to us, but we associate bigness with a boss, with someone who's in charge because of that early beginning in our mind. So that was oh my God, I love this book. I'm going to have to read it again. Another book that I read, and this one, I think this was actually one of the first business books that I read. So I'm kind of going out of order here, but Think and Grow Rich, classic. Pretty much every entrepreneur should read it, or even every business owner. Napoleon Hill, like, just really did a great job here. I've looked him up. I was just really curious. I'm gonna leave that there. You can look him up. So I was I was a little confused. Like, should I listen to this book or should I not? Is he full of shit or not? But it's a really good book. Basically, if you haven't read it, I'm not even gonna tell you what it's about. You just should read it. Okay. This book here, when I read this one, I was like, holy shit, I get it. I get it. Cause I struggled. I struggled for a long time trying to figure out my message. And I was like understanding how to help other people create their content and write copy for them. I wasn't even realizing that that's what I was doing, was writing copy, but that's what I was doing when I was creating social media content. But this book called Hypnotic Writing: How to Seduce and Persuade Customers with Only Your Words, written by Joe Vitale. Oh my God. This book, I couldn't put it down. And all of these books that I'm telling you about, I actually read them more than once. Like, I read them often, maybe at least once a year. I might rotate at, whatever. But this book was so well written that, like, it gave me the idea for when I created a writing course for business owners. This was back in 2020, right before I had the baby. I was promoting sexy writing workshop. Sexy writing, to me, this is what it was. It's so good that you cannot take your eyes off of it. And that's what this book was. So this one was a game changer for me. And that's when I realized that I was interested in copywriting. So it was more than just the marketing aspect, because without copywriting, there actually is no marketing. And that's what I realized big time here. But everything just started finally like piecing together. And I was like, okay, this is what I want to do. And then, just by the way, Joe Vitale, he is actually one of the writers of The Secret. So if you're familiar with that DVD way back, like, I don't even know, more than 10 years ago, fucking like 15 years ago, he is a copywriter as well. So like, most people don't know that because they just associate him with that book and that movie, but he's written a lot of books. He's a great author. Then I come to How to Write Copy That Sells, written by Ray Edwards. Ray Edwards, I really, really admire him. I look up to him. I consider him my mentor, like my mentor. I have purchased his courses. I've purchased his stuff. I love this guy. And honestly, personal branding, if he didn't share about himself the way that he does, then I don't know if I'd like him, right? Just another white guy writing copy. Sorry, no offense. But it's true. The thing about him is that he has Parkinson's disease, and he came from really humble beginnings, and he tells you his story. He's like just such a likable dude, but he's really fucking good. This book is like a manual on how to write copy, and it was like so easy to follow. It was great. Oh my gosh, really good book. And this one solidified the fact that I wanted to be a copywriter. Those are the books for now. I've read so many more books, but those were like in the beginning when I was reading and trying to figure out what I was going to do with myself and, you know, what direction I wanted to go with my business. Like those were the books that kind of really helped me. And it all started from just wanting to learn how to market my business. So hopefully, these books will help you if you're interested in that kind of stuff. I'm sure down the road I will do another one and share different books with you, but that's kind of what got me started and what got me on my path. And all these books between part one and part two right now, these really did change the direction of my life. So that is it for this episode. This one was a super quick one. I have another episode for you. It's a bonus right now.
For more tips and motivation, check me out on YouTube, Instagram, or TikTok at AmbitiousAF.